From the swamplands near Bishopville, South Carolina, come reports of a 7-foot-tall, scaly humanoid creature the locals like to call the Lizard Man. Over the years, the creature has been seen by numerous witnesses, including a teenager who claimed it attacked him one night near a remote area called Scape or Swamp. The young man's testimony and physical evidence was so compelling, it not only launched a serious investigation by the local sheriff's office, but an all-in-all, out-and-out monster hunt that drew hundreds of people to the small town of Bishopville. To hear more, keep listening as we talk to local ranger, Ranger Dan, out at the Lee State Park. Hi, it's Miss Drew, and we're going to be talking about some really cool stuff during these segments. We have the code words that we're using during the story times, and this week's code word was Lizard Man. So we're out here at Lee State Park with Ranger Dan, and he is going to tell us all about the legend behind the Lizard Man. Can you tell us a little bit about the Lizard Man and where that started from?
Okay, well, in 1998, Christopher Davis, he was a high school student. He was on his way home from work really late at night in the middle of the summer, and he had a flat tire. And so he stopped on the side of the road, and he was almost finished changing his tire when he noticed some rustling and stuff in the woods. And so, of course, it kind of startled him. So he finished tightening up the lug nuts and threw the stuff in the trunk and looked over, and he saw this big figure. And so that scared him even more. So he jumped into his car and took off. And the Lizard Man had jumped on his car, and so he was able to get him shaken off, and you know, got home, and then the story went on from there. You know, and so that's where the origination of the Lizard Man has come about. Like I said, he was a high school student at the time, and he actually was a classmate of mine, so I was very familiar with everything going on. Since then, I'm born and raised here in Bishopville, so I've been here as long, or well, longer than the lure of the Lizard Man has actually been in existence.
Wow, that's a long time. So I heard that the boy that was out here, the one he was talking about, what was his name again?
Christopher Davis.
Christopher Davis. He actually had the Lizard Man on top of his vehicle, and it was like holding onto the top of his vehicle when he was driving. And I was reading somewhere that it said that he slammed on the brakes of his vehicle because he could feel it on top of it, and he saw it fly off in front of him, and that's where he was able to get the stand-up picture of him that he drew. The actual drawing that Christopher drew for the police department of what he saw.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, and like I said, you know, it's just one of those things that it happened, and you know, the story has gathered more attention, you know, and so since then there's been sightings underneath garages. People's cars have been messed with. They felt like that the Lizard Man was attracted to chrome. So when I was young and ambitious and everything, the groups that come out to actually the area where it was done was Scape or Swamp, which is in the Browntown area of Lee County. And so Scape or Swamp was just bombarded with people. And so one thing, because of the chrome, they actually wrapped a lady in aluminum foil and had her walking through the swamp trying to attract the Lizard Man.
Wow.
As the things people do when they think, you know, I mean, those are things that actually happen. You know, and so you had a bunch of teenagers, and at the time, you know, a lot of us were hunters and deer hunters, and so we would always be riding around in our trucks with guns in the back and racks and stuff. So it was, you know, you think about today's society to where that's really frowned upon. Back in that, it was common nature for those things to happen. And so you had a bunch of teenagers running around with shotguns. So
not a good idea.
Looking back at it now, it may have been a little more dangerous than what we felt like it was. But
exactly.
You know, it's just one of those things. And then of course, you know, they found large footprints in the Browntown area. There's a dirt road that cuts through, and so they actually found some big castings and made castings of it and molds of it, and preserved those. The sheriff at the time was Liston Freesville, and so, you know, he had several interviews himself and everything about that, So sightings here and there have happened along, and so, you know, there hasn't actually been any sighting here on Lee State Park itself. But, you know, you have these rivers, and so you have the Lynch's River, which is tied into a bunch of the river systems and stuff, and so yeah, the lizard man out there using these as travel corridors, so he could be spotted at any time, any moment. And there have been other cases where they have had spottings on the Lynch's River, but just none have actually happened on Lee State Park.
Okay, all right. So if you want to see him, this is a good area that the lizard man would hang out or frequent because of the waterways that come through the Lee State Park. Do you know about, there was one with a middle-aged woman, and the whole front of her car is just like shredded up and has like claw mark holes in it.
Yeah, and you know, they were thinking that it was going after a cat that was around hiding in the engine, you know, and so it went up in her yard, and there was a big thing, and like I said, the evidence of the holes and stuff in it, and, you know, they felt like that it was trying to attack a cat that was using the motor to hide in, you know, because cats can fit in those small places, and I guess if it's hungry, it was going after some cats, and so I don't know. But like I said, there's a lot of little stories out there that I've heard over the years, and that have continued to come up. And so one thing we actually do here at Lee State Park is we have what's called the Lizard Run Endurance Ride. And, you know, it says Home of the Lizard Man on it and everything. And so it's a yearly event that we do for equestrian, 20 and 55-mile endurance rides. So it's held once a year in the month of March. And that's what actually what I'm wearing for my mask is a shirt from that says Lizard Run on it.
That's cool.
And so, but you know, like I say, it's held once a year, and that's kind of held in honor. It started actually in 2008 is when the first Lizard Run ride we actually had here. And the very first year we went to have the Lizard Run ride was a sighting had happened a month before. So underneath someone's, you know, chrome bumper on their carport and everything.
Oh,
So it
wow.
kind of built up a little expectation. So we have on average about 75 riders that come and ride every year.
And for those of you that aren't sure what that means by the run, he said the word equestrian, which means that they ride on
Horses.
So
Yeah.
it's a horse run. So if you're out around this area in March, check that out. And come by and see Ranger Dan and ask him about that. I have a question. You were saying that they thought that the lizard man was attacking her vehicle trying to get a cat. Is there any evidence to what he possibly eats, or what you guys theorize that he might eat?
You know, I've never really heard of anything specific over the years that he goes after food-wise. And so, obviously, if he was going after cat, he could be eating many things. You know, it's just kind of hard to say, you know, without actual evidence to know. And, you know, like he could be carnivore, could be omnivore, you know, could be like we are, where we eat a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And so, and it's just one of those things that is a mystery that may never be solved.
This is very true. And I was talking about this with our manager, Michelle. We would assume that being a lizard man, he would be an omnivore, which is like humans, like us, most of us for that you know, for the most part are. And that means we eat vegetables and meat. So a carnivore, like you guys know, is someone who just eats meat. And an herbivore, herb, means they only eat herbs or vegetables. So most likely the lizard man being lizards are omnivores. So I would agree that he was probably eating a variety of things out here in the park.
That's right.
Is there any other folklore or anything that you know around the lizard man that's unique to this area?
Well, yeah, the only place he's been sighted has been in this area. You know, there hasn't been a expanse of a large area that he could be found in, you know, so there haven't been any other sightings, to my knowledge, other than in Lee County. So
unlike Bigfoot and other mythological beings that can be found around South Carolina, lizard man only usually stays in this area of South Carolina.
That is correct.
Do you have any thoughts or theories or reasons behind why you think he would stay in one area?
Well, I mean, just don't like to travel, I guess. He likes his seclusion, and maybe he has him a space that he's able to make home, and nobody's ever been able to find it. And so, because of that, you know, he had no reason to leave the area. He has everything he needs supply-wise, and of course, if he's a lizard-like man, you know, if floodwaters happen, he's probably not too worried about it because it can probably swim pretty good. So,
Yeah,
you know, our swamps get flooded all the time, and so nobody's ever really into swamps other than maybe hunting season or something like that. And then it's all depending on the water levels as to how deep somebody can go.
Wow.
So he probably has a lot of area all to himself and probably enjoys it.
So just like with any other type of animal, the likelihood of him leaving the area wouldn't be very great because there's no threat to him here. I mean, we're talking about all the way back to, what was it, 1988 when the original sighting happened, and it's 2021 now and no one's actually ever caught him. I mean, 2020. And I mean, if I was an animal and I lasted all that time without anybody bothering me, and you've got places he can hide and shade, he's got water and he's got land he can get on, looks like a prime place for a lizard man to hang out.
That's right.
Is there some places in here that you would think would be places he would like to? We can go to, like, maybe near the water or something and show them where he might like to hang out. If he was to come here, even though he hasn't been seen yet in this specific area, but like you said, through the waterways, he could possibly be here. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll see the lizard man.
That's right. Well, we can go out on our boardwalk and you can take a look and see what our low-lying swamp looks like.
Yes.
So you can see how easy it would be for them to just disappear and not ever be seen.
Yeah, sounds perfect. All right, we're going to get right back to you when we get to the boardwalk. So then my question, what kind of terrain would you consider this area here? Because it definitely looks like something a lizard would like.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this is our marsh swamp lowland area. So this actually would be called a wetlands. It's because it stays wet most of the time. It does have some spells when it does dry up. And so, you know, if you're looking like currently, you look through, you can only see probably 20 feet because of all the green shrubbery and everything. And so anything in here, you can hear things rustle away, but you can't tell what they are. You just hear noise and movement. And you can only guess and assume what they could be. So sometimes when someone's jumped something up, oh, that was a deer. Oh, was it a deer? You don't ever know. You never can tell. So yeah. It's just one of those things.
I would say if I was a green man,
yes,
this would be prime real estate. Because this is so thick. Do you see this, Michelle? How thick this stuff is? There's no way I could see anybody standing 5 feet from me if they got down in there.
Yeah. And from here to the river is over a half mile.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, you have this whole section in here that, you know, with the exception of our boardwalk, there's no access to it. You know, there's no easy way in, no easy way out. And so there could be all kind of trails and stuff in here that just are never discovered because who else comes in here? No one accesses this area ever, you know. So it's one of the things where, like I said, there's a lot of places where something can roam without ever being disturbed or something.
And being an omnivore, yeah, that's, I would say, what kind of food would he have accessible to him in an area like this?
Well, you have your different type of grasses. One of the things that actually you can take example from the equestrian usage here at the park because we have horse trails. So one of the things that I noticed because I ride horses myself, the things that the horses love the most, we call it, it's like a sugar grass is what we call it. It's actually a cane. And so these are some of the leaves right here. And so these right here are very edible for animals, you know. And so the horses come in and we can't pull their heads off of it almost. You know, it looks like bamboo, but it's a cane because we don't have bamboo here, but we do have sugar cane and stuff like that.
Is that something that humans would eat or no?
I don't know. That could be the sugar cane plant. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't done enough research on it. I just know that the horses love it. And I actually have broken that off and feeding that strictly to my horses at times, you know, giving it to them as a treat because they love it so much. And everything. So
and it's called a sugar.
It's called a cane. It's a sugar cane, and so I usually call it a sweet grass.
Okay.
And so that's what we as horseback riders. It's not the official name for it, but
sweet grass.
It is a cane, though. It is a cane.
Awesome. And what about any fruits, berries, or meat?
Well,
meat.
Well, meat. Now you know you can get all types of things. You know, meat wise, you know we have all kind of deer here, squirrels. The squirrels aren't scared of people here because they aren't hunted, and you know the deer aren't scared of people inside the park, but they still shy away from us because we are close enough to other areas around that do hunt, so they are used to that type of pressure.
This is like a lizard's man's buffet out
here. That's right, yeah, you know it. and then of course, you know, you have otters, you have beavers here, and so there, you know, the opportunity for anything that if it's carnivore or omnivore, and herbivore, whatever it is. There's plenty of resources for anything that it is. And we also have wild blueberries that grow out here. Some points on our horse trails that we ride, there's actually blackberries growing that are wild blackberries, and so the fruits are out there, and it's just a matter of them finding them. Of course, their sense of smell is so much better than human,
Right.
that it's they can find things, they can smell it before we even know it's there, because we have to see it to know it. They can smell it.
If you're here visiting the Lee State Park and you see said blackberries and blueberries, not that I want to eat them, I'm just saying, can they eat them? Can we eat them? Can the humans that come to visit the Lee State Park?
Well, this is a naturalist area, and so when it comes to the blueberries that you see out here, we're not supposed to be picking those and eating those. Now, of course, human nature, you see one, you want to taste it, to sample it, it happens. But the blackberries, I haven't seen blackberries actually on the park. We actually have equestrian trails that lead off the park.
Okay.
And that's where I see the blackberries. So,
Okay.
And so I'm able to stop and get off my horse and enjoy the fruits of my labor of riding my horse that far to go and pick some blackberries and stuff, and then get back on my horse and ride some more. And so, because we're fortunate enough to have some private trail that leads off the park. And of course, it's on open hunting ground that nobody's in. So, all those spots, if you do have a horse and you come and ride, sightings are possible anywhere.
That is awesome. So don't forget that. Now I'm going to have Ranger Dan tell us about some of the other myths, not just lizard man, that surround the Lee State Park.
Yeah, so we have some hiking trails here that we call the wetland trail, and it's marked with white markings and stuff. And so on a couple of the trails, we actually have some fairy houses, and along that trail also, hanging in some limbs and everything, occasionally you get to see some fairies dancing around, and when the wind blows and stuff. And so where the fairy houses are at, it incorporates about maybe 3/4 of a mile of hiking that you can go, and one side of the road, it's like the fairies are inspired. So you have true like fairy houses, and then the other side you have some that are Harry Potter fans. And so on the other side of the road. And so, but if you come in, and there's enough to keep anyone entertained, and little ones of all ages, you come in and you distract them, and you can get them looking at fairy houses, and then before you know it, they've already got 1.5 miles, 2 miles of hiking in, and they don't even realize.
Exercise. So
Exactly.
Ranger Dan's going to take us over to the fairy hiking trail, so that we can show you guys some of the cool things that you can see on that trail. So we're on that fairy trail. What are some things that you might see?
Well, if you look good, you might see fairies.
Would you look there, Michelle? Look at that, Michelle. Oh, look at that little fairy.
Yeah.
Oh, Turner. Oh, she's got a bell.
Yeah, there you go.
That is so cute. And do you guys have a lot of those throughout this fairy trail?
Oh, we have a few. We didn't want to overdo it, so we do have a few. And, so we have probably upwards around 25 to 30 fairy houses that we've located on the trail.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a good handful to anywhere from 10 or so fairies that could be hanging. And so, if we continue down, maybe we can see another house.
Yes, I'd love to see one of those fairy houses. All right, so Ranger Dan, if you'll show us some of the fairy houses, and then I have some questions too about some things I've noticed on the trail.
Okay, sure, yeah. Well, we're coming up to our first one over here if you look to your left.
Oh,
We
if you look there.
We have this set up to where you can actually open up and look inside.
No, I'm just kidding.
So if someone wanted to have a little treat, maybe one day you come here and look, and maybe there'll be some painted rocks in there, and you can actually take a souvenir with you.
That would be really cool. Maybe that's something you guys could do. Have those little painted rocks, and then people leave them throughout the park. Have you seen that?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, because we're going to do that at the library when we get back from the Corona outage.
There you go.
All right, so I noticed some things on the way up here, and I wanted to ask Ranger Dan about them while I have it right here in front of me. Yeah. So if you'll come over here, Michelle. I already know the answer to this question, but I want to see if Ranger Dan knows the answer to this question. So, Ranger Dan, what did that to the tree?
That would be known as your local beaver. Your beaver actually went in and started gnawing the tree down and everything, and we have quite a few trees that are gnawed all the way around that are still standing, And we actually have some that are falling down. Maybe later on we'll get a chance to look at some of those for you.
Yes, I'd love
And you can have those and take a picture and see what the finished product is for the beaver. And they use those to eat the bark, and then once they get done with that, they use it to block up and dam waterways. And so that actually is an issue here on the park. And one of the things that we have to deal with daily on our loop road is beaver dam production. They try to block the drainage pipes that we have to keep the water level down for vehicle to have access all the way around the river.
Awesome. So again, more food for the lizard man. A nice,
exactly.
Hearty, healthy, wood-filled beaver. You see that? Look, there's one there, and there's one there. And Ranger, Dan, what is that growing on the tree right there? It looks like something maybe lizard man would eat.
Well, I mean, you know, it's mushrooms that are coming out, a fungus actually that what happens is when a tree is dying, the fungus wants to escape to get to another tree. So when you see these funguses and mushrooms coming out, and that's them trying to escape to get to another tree to find a feed for them to survive. And so this tree is eventually going to come down, which of course if you look up to the top, it's already dead.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't take much, and actually seeing this is something that we probably need to go ahead and
take down.
Take down so it doesn't fall across our trail later or fall across someone when they're walking.
Yep. And these right here, see these holes, Michelle?
Yeah.
What made those holes?
Those are feeder holes for a woodpecker.
That's right.
That's right. That's how they get their food. They go in and they create the holes.
Peck those holes.
And the bugs will go in the hole to try and hide, and then the woodpecker will come back later and eat the bugs out of it.
You see that? Look at that hole.
It looks delicious to a woodpecker.
Yeah, he's like, there's all
like
kind of goodies in there. Those are adorable. So, Ranger Dan, can you tell us what are some things that they should not do while they're in the park?
Well, as you've seen, as we've been walking, I've actually had to pick up trash that is just left out on the park. We actually are a naturalist area, and so we don't like trash on our park, and nobody ever does. But when you leave trash like that, animals get into it, and it can choke them, kill them, and be very dangerous and hazardous to them. Like I said, so other trash, you know, little juice boxes that seem harmless and stuff, but you know, if you had kids have them, make sure they return with them and put them in the trash.
You see how easily Ranger Dan just folded that juice box up and stuck it in one of his 1,000 Ranger pockets.
Yeah, we have a few cargo pockets. But the other thing about it is that this actually is a carry-in, carry-out park when it comes to trash. So we don't have trash cans for you to use out and about our park. So if you bring trash in, you're supposed to take it back with you. We do have dumpsters located for our campground because we have 48 campsites. And so if someone's camping, of course they're going to have a large collection of trash, and so we do have a way for them to keep that away so it's not scattered throughout the park. Fortunately here, we don't have rodents that are messing with our campers because we do keep our trash to a minimum. And so that's one of the things that we like here is that when people come in, they feel the clean, they see the clean, and because of that, they feel more welcomed and wanting to stay here longer because they know they're in a clean atmosphere.
That's amazing. So, if you come out to the Lee State Park to visit, do not leave your trash. That's nasty. All right, we're going to move on a little bit further into our story and get back up that way. And Ranger Dan's going to tell us some of the things you can do if you visit the Lee State Park. All right, we're here at you call this the outdoor classroom type situation. What is this right here?
That's right. This is our educational area for outdoor training or education for students and everything to come through. So one thing that we do here is we actually have a Discovery Carolina program. Public schools, private schools, homeschooling, whoever, they can come in and they can actually do an educational program that is going to talk about macrovertebrates, which we have in the pond, or other types of programs. that they can do. And so they'll get in touch with our interpreter ranger. They'll set up a time, and your school can come out, and they can do a program that can last for pretty much a 3-hour program. So that way they have enough time to come from school, do the program, take a lunch break, and then get back to school in time.
That is pretty awesome. All right, so I'm going to ask Ranger Dan to give us some things and some for you to do if you come out to the state park. So the only thing here isn't just the lizard man. There's other things you can do when you're visiting here. So maybe while you're out here doing some of the things that he's going to tell us about, you might spot the lizard man too. If you do, please take a picture and let him know, because he hasn't seen him yet, have you?
That's right, I haven't seen him. I haven't had a glimpse of him yet.
Well, and I bet you he would love to know where you saw him. So when you come out and do some of these things here that Ranger Dan's going to tell us about.
Yeah, so what we have a lot of hiking available. We have over 5 miles of hiking trail. Of course, you can go out on our fairy trail, and if you continue it, you can actually take it 2.5 miles all the way down to a CCC built cabin. And at that cabin, there's an artesian flowing well with a little kidney-shaped pool that you can get in that's about knee deep, and it's super cool water. So if you're looking to cool off during the heat of the summer, that's a great place to go.
We should have went there, Michelle.
Yeah.
Woo, 'cause you know I'm hot.
And so you actually don't even need to walk to it, though. There is a road that you can take in your vehicle. If your parents are driving you, they can actually drive to that cabin and check out the CCC structure. It's not a cabin for rental for staying, so it's available for daily viewing. It's sort of a history of the park, because the park itself was created in 1935, and it didn't get completed until 1942, part of the CCC program, which is the Civilian Conservation Corps. And so that's how they got out of the Great Depression way back when, is, you know, teaching people new jobs and new trades that could help them in society once they got done with, once the Depression was kind of lifted and people started doing things again. So that's one of the things here. We also have what we got, our swimming area. So we have 4 large ponds that are here located in our day use. We have about a half-acre swimming area that's designated with marker buoys, but that's in about a 2.5-acre pond, and so you can actually fish in the rest of the area of the pond. You're just not allowed to fish inside the swimming area.
And how much does it cost, Ranger Dan, to come out to the state park?
Admission to Lee State Park is $0. It's
$0.
It's a whole 0 pennies and everything.
And lots of stuff for you guys to do, and it's
right.
all free.
That's right. And so, you know, and if you're not interested in taking the big long walk to the cabin, you can still take a half-mile walk around our day use area. And it, like I said, it leads you around all 4 ponds. We have 4 picnic pads between one pond that has concrete slab picnic tables. We also have 2 large picnic shelters to where you can, you know, get a group together, family gathering, when groups and family gatherings are a little more happily looked upon, you know. And so, you know, but whenever that comes the time, then we have that available. They also have grills, and we have one large place that actually has a large fireplace. One of our large shelters has a large fireplace, so if people want to have a fire in there whenever they come, they can.
Do they have to let you know ahead of time they're going to use it, or it's just first come, first serve?
They are available to be rented, or you can take a chance and get first come, first serve. But you know, if you're planning some type of group outing or family get together, you know, that's within the CDC guidelines. You know, we suggest that you go ahead and actually do a shelter rental, so that way you know it's going to be there for you. But other than that, you know, if you come during the week, it's probably going to be available. If you just wanted to have it for a family picnic and you wanted to be in the shelter to be out of the sun or out of the rain, it's there for you, and it is going to be a first come, first serve tradition. But it is possible to be rented.
That's awesome. All right, and then you said so there's a swimming hole. So before Michelle and I leave the Lee State Park, we're going to take you by and let you guys look at that. Do you have any more questions or?
If they wanted to donate to help with the conservation efforts or anything like, is there anything kind of charities or anything?
You know, when it comes to website stuff, you actually can go to the South Carolina State Park store, and you can do specific endowments to specific parks. If you come into our entrance, we actually do have a donation box, and so that donation at that box is a state general donation, so it goes to all parks, not just to Lee State Park. But if you wanted to donate strictly to Lee State Park, you can come into our office and say, hey, I want to donate to this park specifically. And so we do have what's called an endowment fund, and when those funds happen, then we're able to do certain things. And so a bunch of the things that we were able to do is we were able to actually purchase gravel for our 4.8 mile loop road that actually takes you down by Lynch's River, and you actually get to ride right beside the river for, you know, 1.5 miles, and you can fish at any point along that river. There's no restricted fishing access points. If you can get to the river there, you can actually fish it. And then by the river, we also have another flowing well, an artesian flowing well, which I feel is probably the best tasting water on the park, because we do have 4 accessible flowing wells. 2 of them are up by the pond, but they do have that slight irony taste to them. And so, but the other 2 taste pure, fresh, and clean. And then also down by that area, we have a picnic table, a picnic area by the river, and we have what's called an outhouse. And the outhouse on stilts at that. So it's actually got a concrete culvert that extends all the way down into the ground. It sticks about 8 feet above the ground level, and you actually can use it as an outhouse. And it has a brand new toilet seat on it. We have toilet paper available, so if you need somewhere to go when you're down there, it is available for you.
And if you come by the Lee State Park, ask Ranger Dan what else they call that bathroom on stilts, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it on here, but I encourage you to ask him what they call that here.
Yeah, it's a little better presented face to face.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and end our segment for today. I want to say a great big old elbow thank you to Ranger Dan and our amazing camera lady, Michelle. Thank you guys for all this. This was a really enlightening experience too, and I had no idea that all of this stuff was out here at Lee State Park. I'd never really actually been out here. More than just the lizard man you can do out here. So if you want to hear more about the lizard man, find Ranger Dan. And if you're just looking for a great place to hang out and maybe go swimming, do some fishing or some hiking, check out your local Lee State Park. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.